Hey, Bayek, it's me, Ian, and in today's video, we're going to look at this. Yes, it is Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde from 1971. And what a film this is. I don't think there's no like it, as we say. It's interesting, it's the same year, The Hands of the Ripper is also being produced as well, which is another excellent film. And this film is very interesting and is really well thought of now. Well, let me just talk about it then. Here, Bayek. So, it's 97 minutes long. If you look on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got an 86% rating, which is pretty good. The critics were very kind, actually, to this at the time as well. And its reputation has grown even more over the years. So that already is telling you quite a lot about this film. It's obviously based on the 1886 book, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. Now, the writer and also involved in the producing role in this was one Brian Clemens. Brian Clemens, you saying? Who's Brian Clemens? Brian Clemens, for blowing heck. He was a big writer for the brilliant series The Avengers. The Avengers, 1960s TV, fantasy. What a writer he was. And he brought his skills into this. Apparently he joked at some meeting that wouldn't it be interesting if Dr. Jekyll changed into a woman? And from the basis of that sort of joking remark, they built this story and the script. And it's fantastic. Already, why not? Why not indeed? And they brought this together beautifully. As I say, they were involved with Albert Fennell, his partner, in producing this with, Hammer. And the director they got on board was Roy Ward Baker. Now, I've mentioned him before. Another great director for Hammer. Quatermass and the Pit. Vampire Lovers. Scars of Dracula. The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, which I talk about a lot. That's from 1974. I just love that film. That is one that he directed. Also, interesting, an Amicus film, Asylum, he directed that, and Asylum I rate so highly as an anthology work of horror. That is an amazing film. And that's his background, and he brought that expertise to this film. Now, the cast is important that we look at the cast. The lead role of Dr. Jekyll was played by Ralph Bates. Ralph Bates, who we'd seen in the horror Frankenstein, Taste the Blood of Dracula, which I really love, Remember also in Lust for a Vampire, he was in Lust for a Vampire as well, and brought a certain style to the part when it actually needed it as a film, I think. Um, so he's a great actor. But then the real, I think, bonus to some extent was the casting of Martine Beswick as Mrs. Edwina Hyde, as they called her, of course, the other side of the Hyde character that he turns into. And her performance is fantastic. Remember, she has appeared in Bond films. She was in From Russia with Love and Thunderball. Yeah, so she's a Bond girl, and there she is. And wow, her role, everybody talks about her role. In many ways, she even overshadows Ralph Bates. What a fantastic role. She's brilliant. She adds that sort of menace, real evil, but then also the seductive side as well. And that is such an amazing performance. And as are all of the cast, really. Gerald Sim plays Professor Robertson, who's a very important character as well in the film. And we've got Susan Broderick playing Susan Spencer. She's lives above the apartment where all this stuff's going on, as I say, with her brother, who's played by Louis Flander. He plays Howard Spencer. He's her brother. And they have an important part in the film as well, all these characters. And then I just have to mention this one because, well, you know me. Now, there's a character called Biker who's the mortuary attendant, and he's brilliantly played. He pops up quite a bit in the film, and that is Philip Maddock. You know Philip Maddock? Philip Maddock? You don't know who Philip Maddock is? Crikey. Doctor Who fans know exactly who Philip Maddock is. He has played so many roles in Doctor Who, going right back to the Patrick Troughton era, right through. Oh, wow. He is such a great contributor to Doctor Who. I just thought I'd put that in. Also, in a lot of other programs, he's also made a contribution. I think most notably in one of the most famous Dad's Army episodes, where he's playing a German U-boat captured commander, and he's absolutely brilliant. That's a classic episode. Anyway, I'm digressing as I often do. Now, I think that the essence of this also, when you look at the script, is that they've managed to incorporate Jack the Ripper, sort of, and Burke and Hare, two sort of historical Victorian London crime things going on, and that works lovely into the story. It does. You get that atmosphere. I think the important thing as well is that in the story, it was all filmed at Elstree Studio. Wow, the sets, the atmosphere, so many interesting things in this film. It's all done beautifully. The way they filmed it again. Amma just excel at everything, and there it is. You know, you could have all your £1 million special effects. They wouldn't touch this. They wouldn't. No way. The other point when you look at this actual film is the style as well. It has an interesting style. sometimes it even has that, it reminds me like of Oliver, the musical bit. You've got this song written by actually Brian Clemens, which happens to be repeated quite a few times at various points in the film as well, which is interesting. Then you have mixed with this score by David Whittaker, who adds sort of a musical feel, and then also this sort of dramatic horror kind of feel to it as well. You have a real mixture in musical styles which go together so well. Again, enhance the film even more. So that's what I mean. This is what makes this film fascinating. The styles, the different styles that are fused together in this film. It's just it just works. Maybe it shouldn't work, but it does work, and that's really important. I think I mean, you've got the story is the idea that he is looking to find, well, defeating death, if you want to look at it like that. It's again another sort of Hammer thing that we've seen before. Like, we've even got the laboratory bit, beautifully done as usual. We've got the laboratory where he's there with his potions, and he's got fed up with the research that he's doing, because basically the professor says, well, by the time you finish your research, you won't have got far enough. You'll be dead, basically. And he wants thinking, well, I need to cheat death and find a potion that is going to prolong death. And that's how it all develops. And he ends up, as they usually do, going to get the bodies, and we get all this, everything. It's all in there. It's great. Every sort of thing that you want is in there, beautifully so. And you also have this comedy element as well. You've got this comedy as well in there with the horror. I mean, it's great. And the fact also is interesting that 1971, it's got more nudity, it's got more explicit violence. The blood is there, very there on screen. And of course, at this period, it got through the censors. Hammer were pushing their limits as well, fitting in with everything. It got through the censors. At one time, this would never, ever have got through the censors. So they were certainly pushing the limits for Hammer. This is another important film. But in context now, when we look at it, we see it's quite a trailblazer as a film. What it's doing, and you could see how influential this film would be. People would look at this film and think, wow, there is a lot going on, and it's all in a good, positive way. So just watching it is an absolute pleasure nowadays. And there's no, you could imagine nowadays this may be interpreted in a very different way to what it was intended, such as the times we live in. But it is brilliantly put here. You just sit back and enjoy it. It seems absurd even, but the way everything is filmed and put together, the acting, I can't even argue with anything that is wrong. It's just, I'm always positive, and this is a good example where it is good to be positive about a film, because it genuinely does that. It's just proves again once to me how Hammer was such a great, truly great production company to produce films like this. Amazing. I would suggest, if you've not seen this, try and see it. You know, you may be astounded by it. Well, just amazed by it. Really. And this edition I've got here, there's it's in a slipcover. Go on, enjoy your slipcovers. There it is. It's got a DVD in it as well. It's say the Blu-ray and the DVD, 2 discs. This came out apparently in 2018. I suspect this will get another release sometime with a lot more extras. The documentary though on here is absolutely superb, well worth looking at, definitely. So I would do that. But just enjoy it. That's all you can do, as you say, with all these films. And I can't really highly recommend it, as you know. This is it. So that's it. As I say, all I've got to say is subscribe if you want to know more when we put out these videos. And also, if you like it, give it a like. It costs it's free. That's great. And, well, all I'm going to say is, I'll see thee, and I'll see thee again.